Yo, welcome to the Dio, Dre, and Beyond podcast. It's your boy Dio,
Man, it's your man Andre.
and we are back after about, I'll say a month.
I would say so too. Yeah, it's been a while actually.
Life kind of caught up, got surgery.
Yeah, pretty much you sideline yourself for like how long?
Yeah, had to fix my shoulders. It's been bothering me for years, but it's getting better.
That's always good to hear.
Um, but today, for the first time, we are going to talk about the tech field.
There's so much to talk about with that.
A
Uh,
lot, but let's start it out. Dre, how did you get into the tech field?
well, I started off with tech. Um, I go into a place called Empower. Like I heard about it. I was referenced to it by a friend, and from there I just kind of skyrocketed because I initially was not even in tech before, and then like I was literally in film, and I was like, you know what, this isn't working out right now. I need a second career option, and heard about N Power, and I just jumped onto it, and from there I just soared.
Sounds nice. For me, I always been like, since a kid, I always been like into like electronics and things like that,
Mm.
and always wondered how like electricity flow through different systems and stuff. So growing up, I always wanted to go into like the technology field,
Uh,
and
okay.
I started out, I wanted to be an electrical engineer because I wanted to
Yeah.
like create things and build
Mm.
them. But then I got to college and
Uh-huh.
I got to Calc what 2 something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, no, I passed Calc 3. Then I was about to go into like differential equations,
Yeah.
and at the end of Calc 3, we kind of like started differential equations. I
Mm.
hated it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. Yep.
it was nothing but like word problems. Like it was not math. It was more of the idea behind math. And I'm here like this. I like it kind of made sense, but it was like I just didn't like doing it. It didn't feel good to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, what else can I do besides engineering? Because I don't. As soon as my like body said this isn't the math you want to do, it was like, all right, so let's change it. So then I found electrical technician. So
Yes.
that way I could do hands-on work and some software work, which is what I wanted to do because I also like software.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to like look at circuits and like build circuits and things like that and actually like get to what I wanted to do as a kid, kind of like look at the inner workings of a device, which I found pretty cool. So
Yeah.
that's kind of
For
like
sure.
how I got into like the tech field.
See, that was all nice, but I was complete opposite. I had no interest in tech. Growing up, I had zero interest. I was the user in because there's a whole terminology where you have the technician and the user. I was the user for most
Yeah.
of my time growing up. Like I could never understand how things worked. I was the person who couldn't even differentiate left click or right click on a mouse
Damn.
and what each one did. Yeah, that's how bad it was. But like since doing Empire, I have repaired MacBooks. I have repaired several laptops, desktop PCs, printers. I hate printers, by the way. That's by far the worst repairs. And I've gone to coding, like I do SQL,
It's nice.
and I'm learning other codec, little codes here and there. I have to work with JSON as well. A lot of data stuff. So that's where I've come from. I've come a long way from like literally not knowing a single thing and being confused when asked, "Did you right click it instead?" To
Wow.
to let me find that data in this system for you.
Yeah. A thing that's like it helped me as a kid was like enjoying like video games. It's just like video games like brought me joy as a child. It's like what is allowing me to play these types of video games? Like what is going through the thing that's allowing me to play it? So I'm like, how the hell does this work?
Yeah.
And that kind of like got me interested in the whole thing. And then like as I got older, I started learning like different languages. I learned what Java, Python, C. Um,
hmm
I learned Linux. So
That'd be
I learned quite a few languages over the years, just because like there's always a different one going on.
See, I like how like your path seems to be a little bit better in terms of like you're not really dealing with people as much.
Yeah, I don't really deal with that much people in the tech
Yeah.
field. I kind of
See,
like kind of do my own thing in a way. Like it's kind of like the job I got like straight out of college was I was very fortunate to get
yeah,
was like I did my 2 years, but then I was going to go to get my bachelor's, but then I applied to like IBM to see if I was going to get it, and they let me
yeah.
in. I'm like, oh lit. So I've been like being a technician there for all this time. So I'm like working within a group, but it's kind of on me to get the job done. Like once I learn the skill, I don't really need to go to anyone else to get help, if you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand that completely. Yeah. Yeah, like you don't need to actually ask someone afterwards, like, "Oh, well, I understand this, but how do you do this?" But like you've already gone to the point where you understand it yourself and enough to like if you have your
Yeah,
own method to get out of a situation if need be.
yeah, and then like the longer you beat it, like the more stuff you pick up on your own, and so it's like
Yeah.
once I got to a certain level, like mainly like I learned all the things to do at IBM like within 3 months, and then I was by
Yeah.
myself. And after that, like I only just asked like questions of new things that popped up, but I started to figure things out on my own. So
Yeah.
I didn't really need much help in things.
That's a pretty good feeling. Me, like, it started a little different. It was a little slow starting. Like, my first like real job, like after I did internships, because with Empire, once you graduate, like you have a whole internship.
Yeah.
It's around, it coincides around the graduation. Like you have the internship and all that jazz, and then it's employment time, right? Time to look for a job. My first major employment was in a NYU Langone Medical Center, and it was pretty simple, desktop support, and it sounds all nice and cool, but realistically, all you're really doing is like I pick stuff up and put them down and make it look pretty in the back, essentially, with some software stuff in behind, which from that sounding point, it's pretty much clear that I am doing nothing but dealing with people. People
Wow.
are so mean, and this
Yeah.
like yo, you see like all these jokes and rumors you hear about IT support and how people react to IT support, they're not a joke. They are legit. They are so real.
Yeah, once you go into
People,
IT, you start realizing how real it is.
yeah, like people will insult you up and down despite not knowing the issue
I
themselves.
was just about to say that they will violate you and then they don't even know how to fix it, which is why you're
Exactly.
here with me.
Yeah. I have been there's been points where I was called like, "Oh, how long have you been in IT?" I still remember it to this day. And that was a different company. I still remember that to this day. And I am so mad at that woman.
Ma'am,
She
how
acted
long have you been in IT?
like but the first thing that really got me used to customer support, well, dealing with people in general, not customer support. I mean, I practically one the same way dealing with users, but dealing with them was my first experience at that place, at a hospital, and you get to understand levels of how people are self entitled to others who actually understand and are sympathetic and are willing to work with you through the process. And some who are just a little too hands on. I have been playfully slapped in the back of my head at that job.
So little hands on.
Literally, I was just looking at the woman's setup. It was kind of messy, and she needed a longer cord because we did a new setup for her. Right? Didn't really have that. We're doing a little back and forth conversation, and I don't remember exactly what I said before. It was in relation to our department, and she said, "Ah, but that's your job, silly," and she slaps me in the back of my head. I was with someone that day. I had a coworker. He saw that, his mouth dropped wide open, and he proceeded to walk out the room.
He did not.
Left me there.
He did
Yeah,
not want to be a witness.
he proceeded to walk out like, oh, I did not see that shit.
This is none of my business. Whatever
Yeah,
happens in here happens.
all I could do in that moment, I laughed at it. I kind of chuckled and just walked away. And yeah, so after a while, I started to understand something because there were similar instances, not where someone actually touched me like that or whatever, but like it became similar instances where I realized I looked extremely young for my age at the time. Like, mind you, I've left college. I am over, like I was like over 23 at that point, and people still thought that I was like a sophomore in high school. So when they saw me, and clearly I'm dealing with an older demographic. These people are in their 30s, sometimes 40s, 50s,
Yeah.
and they're just like saying, "Oh, I'm no more than a kid." So this is the reaction I'm getting. Hence why the elder woman, I've come to a point in thinking that she slapped me in the back of my head playfully. Since I look so young, I must have looked no older than her son or a grandson. Like,
Mm. Yeah, but
like I was that young
I'm a
to them.
grown man.
There was one time I was asked like, "Oh, so you're here interning?" I'm like, "No, I work here."
I'm an employee, sir.
Like, oh, straight out of high school? Like, no, ma'am.
I went to college, been there, done that.
Like, I'm 25, ma'am. Like, it's crazy. It was insane. So, but that's just one of the many stories I have with that. Like, it's like user support is always tricky, and you always have to try to find balance in between. Some people get too comfortable with you sometimes, or and you have to try and find a way to deal out, get out of that, or they're just like, I don't know what the word is for. Maybe they're like trying to lighten the mood with you,
Yeah,
and maybe they lighten it way too much.
I'm kind of like I'm kind of in support right now for my new position at IBM. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't deal with outside customers. Like
Mhm.
the customers I deal with is kind of like people within the company.
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what I've dealt with too. Like it's
Yeah,
inside the company. Yeah.
yeah, and like the questions they ask is like they don't really understand what's going on. it's
Mhm.
like
Yep.
it's like it's weird sometimes because like you realize like you're working in the same company, but it's like your roles is completely different,
Yep.
and like they're just looking for you to like solve these problems, and like when you don't have the answers, like, well, how don't you have the answer? I'm like, well, for one thing, I only been working in this position for a couple months. So there's that, and two, like if you, it's like sometimes if you can't figure it out, not everyone's gonna be able to figure this out. Like,
Yeah. Essentially.
but it's like just have a little bit like more like I don't have to run into a lot because like I feel like people are very understanding like when I explain to them like that I don't understand.
They can be, so long as you use the proper verbiage, and they are a type of person that will be patient with you on that.
Yeah. Just you gotta like explain to them like I don't really understand what's happening, but I could try to figure it out. I can ask around, and then most of them will understand that, and then wait for an answer.
Exactly.
I think there was like one time was like I kept getting the same email about this issue that was going on, and
Mhm.
then like I had to do one of them angry, respectful messages.
Oh, that's
it
that's a different way to go about it.
was like you can't like you just kept asking for like this permission. I'm here like I put through the permission. Now you have to wait until it gets authorized. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
happen instantly. And then like I told them that, and then he like he emails the manager and like CCs me or whatever,
Yeah.
asking them like when will this be like completed. I'm here like I just told you it needs to be authorized. Like there's a whole process. Like I put it through. Like
But as far as they concerned, they don't hear that. They just like, oh, you're doing it, okay. So it's gonna be done like 5 minutes from now, which is not the case.
no, it's going to be done maybe a day from now, maybe 2 days. Like once
Yeah.
this once I finish my part is out of my hands. Like
Mhm.
I no longer have control of your access at that point.
Exactly.
Like I'm not trying to slow roll you. I just
Mhm.
don't have the power to just snap my fingers and magically put it through.
Mhm. Boy, oh boy, that sounds all too familiar of what I had to deal with when I worked at a law firm afterwards. Like it was the same thing. It was around the time when the pandemic was finally starting to hit,
Yeah,
and everyone was starting to wonder what they're gonna do. And the biggest point that we had to hit was, all right, these people had to start working from home, and we had to supply them with the necessary equipment to do so. Now, lawyers, they're already given laptops, right? Cool.
yeah,
They're what are they called? LPAs, right? They're assistants essentially. They don't have laptops. That's not a thing for them. They have like miniature desktops. So now we have to figure out how we're gonna just find all these laptops to give to them. And that's when you start to really see like the need for efficiency show up. I had this one guy, LPA. He seems like he's cool, right?
yeah.
But I had to talk to this man, I think 30 times that whole day. My day consisted of going up and down floors to his desk for one laptop and to set up his whole thing, monitors, all that stuff. Yes, we were sending monitors with them too. We were getting them set up to have monitors at their house with laptops. Man, is it great. And they don't understand the first thing about these laptops. Like this guy doesn't understand the first thing about it. We need to get him access, all that. Get him acquainted to utilizing it, making sure that his laptop is encrypted and he knows how to use it. This man had no patience.
Wait,
Man had
what?
no
Why did he
patience.
have no patience though? If he didn't understand,
Like it's like he's expecting it to be one thing, but then
what
it
did he
doesn't.
expect it to be though? Like,
That's the thing. It like it was this is what confuses me. And what's amazing about this, what this guy will always do is like, yo, hey, this guy's doing great. He's phenomenal. He is top of the class. But listen though, I need such and such right now. And I'm like, so I explained to you that in order to get this access done right, we need a few more minutes to actually set this up, and then we come down and run the process with you. He is all haste, haste, haste. Mind you, outside this, all right, this guy is like he has a way with him where he seems like he doesn't give a shit about the job. He's just here for the paycheck,
yeah,
and he chill right out here just watching whatever, doing whatever, right?
yeah.
And now when it comes to this setup where I need his undivided attention, yeah, it just ain't working. And this guy decides we give him a laptop and we have him set up a password for his encryption. We tell him, remember that password. Be serious about this password. This guy decides to go and put in a joke password thinking he was cute,
Uh,
and now he can't remember the password.
at that point, it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, he put the joke and he told me this. I like, yo, real talk, man. Like, I was just trying to be funny, you know. Like, I was putting a joke. Cause it was the joke
But
password wasn't
why?
recognized.
That's
Yeah,
the
it was a joke password with my boss. Like, he made a joke password about my boss that was helping him set up, and she's like, all right, well, do you remember the password? He's like, oh, I'm trying. I had the password in, and we're trying to unlock the laptop and it can't work. Now we have to go to support that's across Atlanta. to try and get his shit unlocked and redo the process to get it reset, which will now take even more time
But what's the? I'm just stuck on like why
because he
put in the joke password.
because that's just what the guy was. He was a jokester, and now he set by the process. I have another coworker coming down to help me figure out his password for his phone. Right, does have the encryption on his phone too,
Yeah,
and like he's moving so fast, and he's not taking his time to understand. She was infuriated, but she kept her cool. She was always amazing. Her name was what, Tanya. She was awesome to work with. So we're doing several back and forths. We had to change out so many monitors and wires and docking stations. Finally, he was happy with what he had and it was working. Because there were some instances where this wasn't working because of how many times we had to keep going back and forth to make sure it was a okay. Mind you, we have like several other people who are rushing to try and get home because oh shit, I
yeah,
don't want COVID, so they trying to get out of here. Man, I've never been so upset. It
yeah.
took several hours of the day to get this man situated. Several hours of the day. All because what? He wanted to be a funny guy.
I mean, even if you put in a joke, how about just write the
Yeah.
joke down?
And then at the same time, he's impatient. I've
Well,
never,
you
I've
can't be
never.
impatient and be a jokester. Like, well, you can, but like you gotta understand, if it was your fault, then you get
Exactly.
what you sowed. You reap what you sowed.
Yeah. But clearly, this was not the case. Like I guess he just didn't understand it, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I couldn't. I was so mad. You have no idea. But like, this is what I've dealt with. Like same as you in terms of like trying to have an understanding. At least you have people that have understanding. It's great. But there are times when you just have people that are just idiots. But that's what
Hola,
the only.
Sky Caspia.
And the biggest thing that I've noticed though is not just the people that you have to deal with that you have to assist. It's the people you work with too.
Um, yeah, it's definitely a people you work. I was fortunate enough to actually like have a good team around me. Like this kind of shocked me. Like when I first got into tech to IBM, there was a
Hmm.
guy who knew everything.
Yeah.
He was my trainer. Like he was good. Like he was on the level of an engineer. Like if he was manpower, but he should have been IBM. In my honest
Yeah.
opinion, I don't know how that happened. That's corporate stuff, but whatever. He was amazing, but he didn't really
Hmm.
talk that much. Me, I don't really talk that much. So like, it was kind of like a match made in heaven because he just showed me what to do. I picked it up like second showing, and then like that was about it. And I like that. But like the people around me were pretty cool. And then like after a year or so, I moved to like a different place. Like
Hmm.
same building, same floor, but like different area. And I got to meet actual people that was my age, which was kind of like a little surprising because like at IBM everyone's kind of old and like past like their 30s. So to actually work with people from my like my age group was like refreshing
Oh man,
because
it's ever refreshing, boy. Oh,
now
it's
I have people to talk to, people who
mm-hmm.
understands me
Yes.
and everything like that. So I don't have to like make small talk. Oh, I I
Yes.
I despise small talk so much, and I find myself. Oh, this is my podcast. I'm gonna say it anyway. I despise myself having to like be white in front of like these people. So the people I worked with was like unapologetically black and Hispanic. I'm talking about like
Yes.
Suri and Akeem, and
Yes.
then well, she's in the chat right now. Sky also came later, and I got to train her. And we were just a merry group of mid 20s people just chilling, and that was so refreshing. to have in the workplace. It changes the mentality of everything that's happening. Like
It really
no
does.
no longer are you just like working this like job. You're like with people like now.
Hmm. That you can relate to. Like it's not like you have to try and meet them at this other level because they're not in the same age group, or just they just wouldn't run it in the same circles as you.
Yeah.
But you see, that was great. But I've had that too. But I've also had instances where I'm just dealing with someone who's just in the whole different circle. We shall now talk about a certain someone. I'll just go by Mel.
Also,
Let's end
one more thing. It's
yes.
also nice that they also know tech as well.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
It's also
I
nice that
fully
they know
agree.
tech because there's a lot of people who's older than you and they don't know what the hell this new tech is even doing.
Yeah.
But they'll swear up and down that they know everything.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But you may continue.
And that also works very well with this particular person, this individual. I was working at again the law firm, right? I will
Yeah.
not mention the law firm. Um, and everything was great. I was working with a nice group of people here and there, and then like this person was also very nice too, very great at first. Um, as time went on, talking to him was a learning experience. But then after a while, I'm starting to see this as he moves a little different. And my first experience with him was that he does not take stress well. Now, mind you, he is a bit old. He was like early 60s, I think.
Yeah.
Early 60s. And but still moves around, he can function. He's not like no crippled or anything. I'm not saying that. No. Man's fully functioning. But is particular in his ways. He's set in them. So there's always like hashing out with the boss every time. Him and the boss always have words. I didn't know this going into this new position, but apparently that's the case. And there was one moment we're hustling around. We had to really move and answer all these tickets. And I guess altercation was going on, and he felt stressed, and he apparently just couldn't come in the next day. And I'm wondering what's going on. I found out the next day apparently this man felt like he had some heart palpitations, or he just had stress going on. And I'm like, well, from what? Mind you, she just asked him to do certain things and asked him questions. Apparently, he just couldn't take it. Then I think where it got worse is like you start seeing him button heads more often because he has a particular way of doing styles of doing things, of responding to tickets.
Yeah.
I have worked with him. There are some instances I see something that he could do to try and help remedy the issue. I'll go through a little faster than he would, and he will get to the same conclusion I would, or sometimes he will get a whole different conclusion when I told him beforehand, hey, so I've run through this, and XYZ may be the problem, not ABC. It's like, okay, well, we'll figure it out. And he starts talking to the client, and he's trying to be courteous, no, do a whole white glove service as he loves to talk about. But the process is taking too long, in
Yo,
my opinion.
that be getting on my nerves when like I go and help somebody and they don't want to listen to the help that I just gave them, and
Hmm.
then now we're taking longer than normal to like figure out the problem.
So he's got to figure out himself. And I generally would just, boom, boom, boom. Like I'm just like, all right, this doesn't work. All right, so I'm gonna go to this. I'm gonna go to this, and move as we go along because the person only has so much time too. So I need to move. These are lawyers. They don't have time. They'll make some time for you, but it's not gonna be somewhere you can just sit down and wait. You gotta
Yeah.
move. So unless you just really can't help it, of course. With him it was always a wait. And then when it comes to doing setups, because we also did setups too, everyone had their own particular way. Him mainly. He had his own way. And I remember one time when we were doing a setup, he was just trying to get it through, just get home. Cause like, yo, I gotta be home at a certain point. And I'm like, well, we had to do this a certain way. We have to make sure we're doing it right. We can't just skip forward. He's like, look, listen, it's all right. We just do this, and like, oh, so what? This is missing. What the mods aren't correct. All right, it's all right. Like it still works. It's all the same. I'm like, don't do that because they want a particular set, want a particular set of monitors. These people are particular to the T. If you don't give them the right monitors, it's over. He's like, look, it'll be fine. It's still you can still see through it. They're about the same height. It's all good. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do everything else myself as it's supposed to. I'm gonna do it wire management and have it set where I know I can take it back down if I can because I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Following morning, was there hell to pay, sir? My boss was livid because there were several complaints like, "Yo, this is not how it's supposed to be set up. I'm supposed to have this. I'm supposed to have that." And like, she's like, "All right, well, so who did it?" And I'm like, "Well, you see, I was going to do it this way, but this man here said he wanted to do another, and said it was fine."
What happened is this is none of my business at this point.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So
And you know what's wild though? There was several back and forths with this. I swear I don't know what it was that kept him there for so long because there was instances where this man actually walked the fuck out of work. He walked the fuck out after a big disagreement.
and still kept his job.
Still had his job. This man left early. He sent an email to her and her boss's boss saying, "Hey, I'm going to be leaving for today. I have something to do. It's an emergency." What emergency? We both know there ain't no emergency. We both know you leaving because you tight. Both know you're leaving because you're mad. And he still has a job after. I'm like, if I did that, I'd be fired.
I mean, you should hope you won't get fired for that, but
He still had his job. You know what caused him to lose his job? The pandemic, as did mine. I
mm,
lost mine as well due to the pandemic. That's the only way that he lost his job, along with me. It was wild. It was wild. I'm like, this is insane. That's this is where it takes.
yeah.
But yeah, that those are just some of the things that you'll experience when you work with some people that you can't coexist with.
You
Not
got
just the users you gotta fight. You gotta fight your coworkers too sometimes.
yeah, like you have like I know you experience the coworkers that like yeah, like you just said, the lazy ones, like
Yeah.
who's definitely just showed up there for a check. Y-
Mm-hmm.
Like those be like I could tolerate those for some reason. Like sometimes
No, I cannot. Nope.
I
Mm-mm.
know you I know I can some of them I could tolerate because like some of them they're there just for the check, but our jobs are different though. They're not getting in my way, really. So it's like if they're just sitting there doing whatever, that's going to reflect badly on them. But
It's
so
gonna reflect very badly.
they're not affecting me getting my machines completed.
No, they're not.
Whether you
Well,
sit
if they're out the way.
yeah,
If they're out the way.
whether you sit there or not, me pushing this machine out is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if my lead comes to me and say, "Why is this machine still sitting here?" I'm going to point him in your direction. Now, what your excuse is, I don't know. I can't give you one. But my machines are done, and why yours is still sitting there, you're going to have to explain.
Mm-hmm.
I had to
Yep.
do that a couple times.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny. I had that same experience. Like I'm here knocking out stuff, and then like I have all these levels knocked out, but I had to wait for a certain amount, and I'm trying to get them done. He has a set amount. It's not working. There's even been a point where like tasks were silently given to me because I think at some point in time my boss realized like, yo, I gotta give this to you. Like I've had those instances, but there were times where
Yeah.
I had no choice. I had to give it to him because like I'm swamped. I'm not getting anywhere. These people are not answering. I have to give it to someone else while I deal with another ticket, another issue.
Oh yeah. The
I
worst.
can't.
The worst is when like it's the busy time and like you have to do everything.
Yes, that is utterly horrible. Horrible. Like I can't. I really can't. Ugh, like but the biggest thing is though when you're in an environment that's also high stress. Generally, the high stress environments are generally corporate. If you're working in a corporate environment, they are going to be high stress. You have to come in there with a certain mentality to deal with them. and you're gonna have a lot of times, not all, but a lot, you're gonna be alone. You're gonna be stuck dealing with a lot of things. You may not even know how to do some of these things, but you're gonna be stuck figuring out yourself because everyone else is drawn somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, and I've had those, and they suck. But I mean, it's a great reward after when you finish it all because you realize you can do it. Knocking out all these tickets, all these complaints, all these software issues, like you're able to knock them out yourself, and it's a great feeling.
Yeah, it's very rewarding in the tech field when you're able to like accomplish those things by yourself because like you start to realize like I understand the process. I understand what's happening around me, like how this machine is working.
Hmm.
So like once you like get comfortable like that, then everything starts being like more streamlined. You're going faster, you're pushing out more and it's like and then that starts getting you like prepared to want to do more and learn more depending on if you like your job or not. Like
Exactly.
yeah, like if you like your job then you want to start learning differences in the process like okay, so I kind of mastered this part, how does this part of the process works then? Like,
Hmm.
and then you start getting to like moving around and like then you become like a jack of all trades in the
Yep.
workplace. But there's a that sometimes can be bad,
Oh yes, very much so.
becoming
I've
a
had
jack
that.
of all trades.
Hmm.
Because now
Yes.
everyone expects everything from you.
Oh yeah.
And once
Every
they
time.
learn that you know everything, they will try to use and abuse that.
Yep. That was the case when I was a field technician. And at the time, no one really knew how to. Well, I wouldn't say no one really knew how to. It's just that like there'll be some questions about this particular product. MacBooks. No one was really the best at solving them or troubleshooting them, working with them. When I was working there, I think my first month in, I was sent away to Long Island to just work on nothing but MacBooks. I had nothing but that in front of me, with some, some iMacs in between, but majority was just MacBooks. I come back finally. A lot of my tickets, lo and behold, MacBooks. Mac.
You
This.
got the
Mac.
skill now.
And like what did my boss say? Like, hey, well, like I need to put you on these tickets, sir, because you know what, like you're handling them so well, and I just think that you deserve this. And my whole route is now just filled with just like Apple,
I
like.
des I deserve this. What do you mean?
So like it was just hilarious. Like I just had to be going around dealing with it so much, and I'm not gonna lie, like I mean I appreciate it because it allowed me to actually understand Apple in general, how they work and how their machinery works. Um, I used to not like Apple. It got me accustomed to how they work and why they do things that they do. But at the same time, I also became upset with them because of how particular they were.
Yeah, it's very particular with Apple.
Yeah. So that was, and then not to mention, I have like a bunch of when you get a bunch of tickets with that too. Yeah, no, it's not fun. But there will be one thing that I would hate more than anything else is printers. And I got kind of okay with printers to the point where I started getting more tickets with printers. Never do a printer. You don't have
Why?
to do printers. Never go to them. Never.
What's
Because
the big bad about the printer?
because there's always another issue. And the thing is with printers now, mind you, all these places, all these businesses you see, barely any of them really update their printers unless they absolutely have to. So you're dealing with the oldest models. And then now you have to work with trying to figure out how they work. You have the manual on you. Techs will have the manual on them. They have it like somewhere where they study before they get there.
Yeah.
Now, what's funny about those manuals? Some of the stuff in there will not match up to what's actually in front of you, despite it being the right manual for the right model. Things will actually not even be in the right place. Yeah. So dealing with that, and also when you troubleshoot it, one problem will lead to another, which will lead to another. Oh, this sensor right here on this tray is not working. Okay, it has to be the sensor, right? and then you realize it may not just really be the sensor. It actually might be the tray itself because
Yeah.
of like how busted it is. Oh, you may have to get a new tray.
Gotta
Ah,
be
you
the
know what?
troubleshooting
This.
champion.
Oh, but that didn't work out right. So now you need to replace this too, and that, and that. And then the worst thing about it, though, the worst ones are the big, gigantic printers. You know how long you be there? You better clear your whole schedule. You thought you were going out tonight? Nah, nah, you ain't gonna make it there. Nah, I'm so glad that this job was pretty much an 8 to 5
You
thing.
wanted that lunch break? No.
Yeah,
Might
yeah,
need
you
to
eating lunch
reconsider
there.
that.
You eating lunch there, and then my goodness, the mess, the toner. I swear to you, I never hated toner so much. Oh my gosh! Like it gets over, it gets all over you, gets over your pants. And I wore khaki pants, so that shit was there. Oh my gosh! And it'd just be
Oh
dust all over,
man.
just all over the damn floor. And then you gotta clean that shit. There's no way in hell I'm leaving that mess on the floor. That shit is getting cleaned up.
This man Dre is heated.
I don't like printers. I was able to solve problems with printers, but there's a lot of times where I just messed up because I just hated it. And I knew I couldn't work this problem 'cause I'd never touched the printer yet, and it was a brand new one. Couldn't really figure it out, and I needed help. To at least see it at least twice. I need it for a printer. I need to see it done at least twice to fully grasp it.
That
Once I
makes
do that,
sense.
I can work with it. That's how I'm know. That's how I know that I am with printers. Like every now, like I can work with it in that extent, but it's just no. No. If you don't have to, don't.
And I will not. I work with mainframes.
I'd rather work with mainframes than a printer.
Yeah. Even though yeah, I did have those like the troubleshooting journey as well. Like, oh, you fixed this. Okay. That wasn't the problem. Okay, so what's the problem? Is it this? Is it that? It
Mm-hmm.
just go takes you on a whole journey. Like you fix one thing, then it shows you, oh, well, now this is broke. Like, why is that broke? I don't know. It is though.
Yeah. No. No. It's horrible.
Anyone in the tech field will say they had them days where it was just that one machine that
Mm-hmm.
they just couldn't get past. And your
Oh
whole
yeah.
shift is just dedicated to figuring out this one problem.
Yep.
I kid you not. I
Mm-hmm.
worked with a broken machine
Yeah.
for 2 straight weeks. I don't know
Oh yeah.
what was going on, but the machine just didn't want to leave. It kept
Mm-hmm.
every other day, it kept breaking. For some,
Yep.
this Constitution card dies. The next one
Mm-hmm.
dies. The next one dies. I'm like, okay, then there got to be something wrong with the book. No, change the book. The something else breaks. I mean, like, what is going on? I don't understand this. Every day I come back in. Why are you still here? Like, it
Mm-hmm.
was those 2 weeks was like I'm here. Like, why is this machine breaking? I
And you know
don't know.
the.
I can't remember when it got out. It was
Mm-hmm.
just I just remembered the 2 weeks of me sitting at that machine just looking at it. One time I looked at it for an hour. I ain't do nothing with it. I'm here like I don't know what to do with you. I just don't know what to do with you. You keep breaking. I changed like 20 cards. Like, what do you want?
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, yo, you know, and the best part about it is that when you realize, as a technician, you have realized this needs to be replaced. Like, didn't you just have a brand new machine there? You have tried. Honestly, at this point, it'd be better if you just buy a brand new machine. Now, the real question is, who's gonna buy that machine?
Exactly.
Who's gonna buy it?
Who-
Because I remember this exact position that I was in several times while I was working over at ASI, right? We're working over at this I would just say a government site, right? And
Yeah.
just dealing with this printer. Printer is just not working. It's been replaced. Several parts have been replaced on this thing. I think 7 parts have been replaced, and it's come to a point where a new one needs to be replaced, and it needs to be in place of this old one. Now you would expect this government agent to just pay for it. No, they're not going to. our company is not going to do that unless certain circumstances are met for us to straight up buy a brand new one for you.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. It's just not a thing. So now you're sitting there like, all right, so what are you going to do? Because you need a printer. So what happens? You know what? Let's try one more thing or two things. Let's see if we can get it working after that. That is the same process that decides to repeat itself till there is just no more warranty on this. And like the amount of parts that are being ordered on this thing is gonna put the manufacturer in question. Like, hey, so you're ordering a lot of parts from us for this one machine. What is going on?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, manufacturers also look at how many times you had to order a part for one machine. They actually look at it, and they're going to start asking questions. Why is that the case? Especially Apple. Don't let Apple catch you ordering multiple parts for one machine, because they're going to complain. Say, hey, are you a certified technician then? Like, are you working? Are you got certified technicians at your place? Because they shouldn't be ordering this many
Are you
parts.
gonna
What
send
is the
us a
issue?
certified technician? Like,
So yeah, so like that's how that goes sometimes. So you have to be particular. Like apparently that's the thing. Like if you keep ordering all these parts, they're gonna start asking questions, and then that may bring down your service level a little bit. I guess on like a business perspective. Business perspective is just not my forte in that part. My whole thing is troubleshooting and figuring out why it takes this long for it to
yeah.
be fixed. But again, that's just life you lead, and then especially if you don't return these broken parts, which some people just were not good at.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's always the business and the tech side of things. Like, I understand some of the business part of it because, like, my lead, he explained things to me about it.
Yeah.
But you have to explain to like managers and the lead your tech perspective. And it's
Mhm.
like it's different because like I understand like we don't have the parts and this and that, but like we're the ones dealing with the product and we're the ones testing it and we're telling you this isn't working. So like something
Exactly.
has to change because
Yeah.
like we're going through too many parts is breaking and we're getting blamed for it, but we're telling you it's a bad setup. It's a bad process.
Exactly.
So the process has to change. Like I know you're trying to be like cost effective, but it's like as the technician, we see things you guys don't.
Yeah.
And a lot of the managers get hired because they're managers. They're not
Yeah.
test technicians. All they
Yep.
know how to do is manage people. They know how to manage the business, but they don't know how to like see the product for what it is. So like if you're giving me this if you're giving me this power cell
Mhm.
and it blows out
Mhm.
before the process is complete and you've done had 12 of those, what does that tell you? It's not the technician's fault.
It's not.
It's the product.
It's the
You're
product.
trying to go cheaper and it's not working. Like one time we had this they changed how you like screw in like a cage for one of the mainframes.
Yes.
And the screw kept stripping. And we're
Oh boy.
like and so like every time the screw strip, that's like another 30 minutes to get someone to come down and fix it. And
Yep.
then now they're complaining that machines aren't getting out in time. I'm here like, well, how about you fix how the machine is being built? The screw keeps stripping. Clearly, there's a problem there. You're trying to do this cheap fix it, but it's not working. like,
Mhm.
like instead of complaining about, oh, why this machine not out? How about you ask the question, why?
Yep.
What can we do to fix the problem? And then when we tell you, how about you actually go out and actually try to fix it?
Yep.
Like a
You
lot of
know.
times they don't even like try to even fix it. Like they just like, yeah, we're gonna get to it. Never gets to it. It's like, then what's the
Mhm.
point? Like,
That's just how it works. Like I've been told before at one point. I hire technicians, not a bunch of part replacers. I was upset. This came from a meeting with all the technicians. well, a fair amount of technicians, and you had the managers in there, and then the executive was in the front talking to us, and the conversation came up in terms of like how often we're ordering all these parts for this one particular machine sometimes. And then, as I was mentioned before, like how certain, manufacturers are going to start asking, hey, so why are there so many parts being ordered for this one machine? Now, as a technician, I can tell you right now, some machines you need to order more than one part because one issue may be disguising itself as the main issue when it's something else. Or you may have to fix multiple things at once to solve the issue. Meaning you may have to order multiple parts. That's just the nature of it sometimes. And I'm very well aware that that does not happen all the time, but he made it seem like it was so frequent.
Yeah.
And he's saying, I've been in the same shoes as you. I've done this job too, so I know what I'm talking about. And we had to deliver a quality service. And in my mindset, I'm thinking, well, he has mentioned this. Several of the managers have mentioned this. That this executive has also been on the field. They've been here since it started. But be that as it may, I feel that you have lost connection with this part of the business because of how long you've been on the other side.
Facts. Things change.
Things have changed, and you're
Technology
thinking
changes every day.
exactly, and the methods don't fully change, but there are certain nuances that you have to be aware of. Like there are things you have to take into account as to why this is happening, and there are explanations given in all these tickets as to why I'm doing this, why I'm ordering that, and sometimes it's just not good enough because they want to make sure they meet a status quo. Because there's the SLA agreement, the service, what is that? The service level agreement, right? You have to meet that. You have to meet that, and that is almost like it's very important for a business, especially within tech. When you are doing repairs, you're entering tickets. The SLA is important to hold. If it's broken, your credibility isn't really all that great as a company. I understand that portion, but let's be very clear. When it comes to troubleshooting, you must get to the root of the problem. You must fix it as best as you can. Sometimes it may require you to order more parts, but some people don't understand that. And I've been in the same situation where like we're trying to like fix certain parts, but like these things strip, screws
Yeah.
strip quite a lot, especially if they've been repaired on more than once. These grooves are gonna start getting loose, and you can't really get the screws in properly anymore.
Yeah.
You know how many ways around there. Now I'm not gonna sit here and say that there aren't technologies that exist right now in repairs where you can go ahead and use it to take out strip screws. Yes, those exist. They do. But there are times where, like, well, you even have like certain, quick methods to take out strip screws, but they are very time consuming and sometimes they just really don't work. It does happen, which in result makes you have to stay there even longer. And it sucks because now we're going to get yelled at because we're taking so long at this one ticket and
I
we need to
was
go to another.
I was just about to say that. Okay, you don't like order new parts and you're trying to like find a fix around it.
Yep.
Now you're spending more time trying to solve a problem. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said, you want technicians. So we're trying
Yes.
to solve the problem. But
Mm-hmm.
now we're taking up time because
Yep.
it takes time to solve a problem sometimes.
Yes, it does.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
like even if we're not even if we're not getting the parts, we're taking time trying to figure out why and how to fix the problem. So like
Exactly.
you're gonna yell at us for that too. So like what do you want? Do you want it done or like what do you want? Like please tell us how do you want it fixed?
Yeah, and it's a constant issue with executives. Now, I will say this: the reason why I feel like this was brought up as a complaint over and over again with us technicians, not just because people are doing that habitually, ordering multiple parts of it. I'm not going to sit here and say that that doesn't happen, and there's a lot of times where that issue could have been fixed with a simple solution where they didn't have to require that many parts. Yes,
Yeah,
granted, that could be the case.
sometimes parts will not need to be bought. Like
Yeah,
sometimes you should think a little bit before buying the part.
yeah. I have been in situations where I didn't have to order a single thing. I fix it on the spot, and it does vary on the technician that's at that site dealing with that problem.
Yeah.
However, I would like to keep a note of this. Like everyone keep notes about this is that certain issues that manager will bring up, like this one that I mentioned, in terms of like just order multiple parts. In this company, the biggest issue that technicians had with the company was pay. In this company, you were promised a few things. If you did certificates every quarter, when you or like every quarter or so, you may get a bit of a bump in your pay. You may see an increase.
Okay.
That never happened.
Yeah.
Mind you, we were asked several times to do all these certifications. We've done so many. I've done so many certifications on Lenovo. It's absurd. Like I have done a lot. I have
Yeah.
seen Lenovo's catalog, and I gotta admit, after the amount of times I've been on it, I firmly believe Lenovo is actually a lot better than people believe. But the point is, I've done so many, and I barely saw a pay raise. You know when I saw a pay raise? When minimum wage went up.
Yeah, that's not good business.
Yeah, and they tell you this like, oh, we're going to give you a raise. Don't worry about it. We will if you do these
That's
certifications.
when you just leave, honestly.
And that's exactly what I did soon after. I just left. And now, don't get me wrong, being there, I learned so much, but bad business practices.
Have you ever
And that
argued for your pay raise?
I've argued as a unit.
Yeah.
Like I've argued it myself, and I've argued it as a unit
Like I
with
would
other
like
technicians.
yeah, bring the list of certificates that you went through and everything. Like I
But
did this, and this. So
yeah.
where's my bump?
And now here's the funniest thing about it. Biggest thing is that despite all that, didn't matter.
Of course it
Did
didn't.
not matter because you know what happened? Like I remember
Empty
we as a
promises.
unit. Exactly. We came together as a unit. We talked to our manager. He also agreed. Pay is kind of shite, right? It's not really all that great. So he went to try and talk to the executive with all the managers there, same thing. They're doing the same thing. You know what this exec said? He laughed and said, politics. Politics. That's why we
So
couldn't get a raise.
so lying. Got it.
Yeah. So like just none of that. Like and that's the main reason why this company actually has a high turnover rate because they don't keep to their word
Well,
about
of
certain things.
course.
They really
Like
don't.
if you get lied to a bunch of times, you're not going to stay.
Yeah. And mind you, we were actually asked to do a lot of things and we had to travel far too sometimes. Like the warehouse. Their warehouse is in Long Island. Now I've mentioned I've been in Long Island before to train on map books. It was at a closer location but still far. It was around New Hyde Park. For those of you that may not know, New Hyde Park isn't all too far away from New York City in itself. Really? Like it's not too far away. Like if you're in like one of the other boroughs. Like if you're from Brooklyn, for example, where I am, it's not too bad. But that's if you take the LIRR. That costs money. If you're not really getting paid that much, that hurts every now and then. I was doing that for like 3 months. So you had to find a cheaper alternative. Cheaper alternative had me going there 2 hours plus on a trip. That was the first warehouse. The new warehouse that they made is even further. It's not even reachable by LIRR.
Mm.
Like at that point, you need a car, and
At
majority
that
of the
point, I'm
technicians,
not doing it.
exactly, and the majority of technicians actually don't have a car. That's the funniest part about it. So what had to happen is that you had people trying to find these weird, obscene routes. Honestly, if you worked at this company, you would familiarize yourself with how good the MTA can work and how and where things go. You would know the absolute limitations of the MTA if you worked for this job. Because bro, people were out here. I saw people walking to and fro from this warehouse, and I'm like, "How did you guys do it?" And they tell me the schedule. I'm like, "What? Like, were you on a hiking expedition?" Because it makes no sense. Like there was no bus that physically went there, so you have to like literally walk the rest of the way. You're walking miles. I was lucky enough to have someone that was willing to meet up with me and drive me there because we were in the same borough and we lived rather close where I could meet up with him. But that was not the case for everyone.
Yeah.
So it was really unfortunate. Mind you, you're not even getting paid more, and you're being asked to do X, Y, and Z, travel all this way. And I love to point out that yes, they did do reimbursements on MetroCard and phone, but if you're talking about going to the warehouse where you would need reimbursement for LIRR, they were not looking to do that. They were not looking to do that, and that was a real kicker.
There was no way for them to like hire a Long Island team or anything. Like,
So that's the funny part about it. You see, because like I've worked at a warehouse when you're at the first location, and that first location, I, honestly, I could count on my hands how many people were actually there doing the tech portion of the work. Like you had the manager there, you had another person that dealt with another portion of like certain laptops, like Dell, I believe, or HP. Then another person who was dealing with corporate tickets. Then you had another person there that was good with Macs. Another person that just did the orders and just kept track of everything. Another person that did strictly Chromebooks. It was a small ass team, and when I found out how many tickets they got, it was absurd how little people they had working at the warehouse. Legit, like, and funny thing is, I was working through what when I was there. It was what, like 300 MacBooks, I think I had to work there or more. And then that's not even talking about the Chromebooks that come in.
yeah,
Like, it's insane. And then it's so far for me working at that particular location. I had to get home at a certain point. I had to leave early. So I will do as much work as I can and then I have to leave. I was like, oh, hey, where you going? You got to clock out at 5. I'm like, sir, if I clock out at 5, I'm not getting home till much later. And then I practically just have time to just sleep and get back up
yeah.
because I have to leave extra early in order to get to the
And
spot.
nobody want to be in that position when working a
Exactly.
job. Like when you like
Exactly.
get off the job and then gotta go to sleep and then wake back up, get back to the
Yeah.
job.
I'm well
Like,
aware that there's people out there that make 2 hour plus commutes to work. But you see,
yeah, your whole life is now commute. Like,
yeah,
and that's annoying.
I've done that, and I have to say, for one, it's horrible. It makes no sense. Don't have a job where you have to do so much to travel. If you're gonna do that much to travel, they better benefit you on it.
Yeah. If you
And
want
this
me
job was
here,
not.
then like you gonna have to reimburse me on something because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's not what happens here. So yeah, like it was horrible. It was a really trying experience, and I couldn't have been more livid. But I did learn, and I did learn some stuff. I did get certified as I'm a certified Mac technician as a permanent certificate, so that's great. You can always take another one if you want, just be more updated. But yeah,
Yeah, it's not like you're gonna get paid for it.
well, no, but I have that in the back of my pocket. I am certified Mac technician. That's great, and I'm in a place now, another job where I'm finding different passions, and I'm fine with it. I actually do code now, so that's great.
Yeah. But the whole thing about tech, there's many versions of tech, but like
Hmm.
it's interesting like the different stories that come from it. Yeah, like what you actually like do learn from tech. But and you can learn something from like even from like people who aren't good at tech. Like you learn like a lot of these jobs don't hire you because of the skills you have, but just because you're a warm body. And
Hmm.
it's easier to pay the dude who doesn't have the skills than the dude who knows everything.
Hmm.
Because the dude that who just sits there and do nothing, they don't really have like leverage or anything. But if you there doing your job, working every day, you have leverage, and that's what kind of scares some companies. It's the knowledge you have.
Okay. Yeah, it does.
But this has definitely been a good conversation. Definitely need to pick it up again because it's just so much to this.
There's always more to talk
It's
about with
always
tech.
more to talk about. I even left out a few stories,
Hmm.
especially of like the know-it-all tech. Those are great.
Oh yeah, those are good. Those are always good.
We're definitely gonna get back to that one because I need to
Hmm.
talk about the know-it-all tech.
Yeah,
They'd be funny. That'd be a good time.
they're horrible.
But this has been another episode done, completed. How you feeling, Dre?
Well, I mean, it feels great to be doing this again. It's been a while, but yeah, it was just great to simply share again.
Yeah, definitely good to talk to y'all. Thank you for anyone who came and watched. Sky Caspia, I see you. I see you. You are saw. You seen. You saw. But thanks for watching. This has been Dio Dre and Beyond podcast. This is Io Dio,
This is Andre.
and peace out.
Later.